Hi everyone, I'm Frances Taylor, Head of National Accounts at Kensington Mortgages, and in today's session I'm going to be talking to you all about our broker research outcomes. So to give you a bit of context and background, we've asked over 500 mortgage brokers 12 questions about their experiences within the mortgage market. These questions really fall into three main categories of customer, broker and the market. About a year ago, we did a very similar exercise. So we surveyed over 100 mortgage brokers and we also held 2 focus group sessions. We did that with brokers and with intermediaries, discussed kind of the research outcomes, and then held one of these webinars, which you can watch actually on our YouTube channel. So what we're going to be doing today is reviewing both sets of the data to see what's changed from the first lockdown a year ago until today, and then looking again forward into the market in 2021. We'll also discuss these research findings in a panel debate where we have Lisa Martin from LSL and Sarah Tucker, the mortgage mum. So that's also available on our YouTube channel. So head straight over there after this if you'd like to watch it. Okay, so let's start off with the first section, which is customer. What we do know is the mortgage market's changed for the average customer from criteria to product availability. And we also know the amount of customers in the market has grown. This time last year, 28% of people who were not planning to move before lockdown were then looking to enter the market. And if you flash forward to this year, only last month we saw Rightmove recorded its busiest ever day. That was on the 17th of February, reaching over 8.5 million website views, which I think really shows customer confidence and engagement. So I'll start off with the first question that we asked our 500 plus brokers. And this was how they've interacted with their customers. So when we look at last year's results, almost 60% of brokers confirmed that face-to-face appointments were the most popular, with only 1% ever conducting a virtual meeting. Obviously, technology has evolved. Lockdown has made all of our behaviours different, kind of in work and at home. And unsurprisingly now, when we've asked the same question again, face-to-face is the least popular, partly because of lockdown, we've not been able to do it, but telephone, email and virtual being the most frequently used methods of interaction. So we then asked, do we think your customers will want to interact differently post-lockdown? Last year, over half of brokers suggested customers would want to interact differently, and this is very consistent with this year's results as well. So the next section was around broker research outcomes. So each year, mortgage intermediaries across the UK set new records for the amount of mortgage business that's submitted by a mortgage broker. If we look back to 2019, UK mortgage brokers submitted 75% of all of UK's mortgages, and even throughout lockdown, this has continued to grow. The total has now reached 78%. And this is predicted to grow even more so, making specialist mortgages such as Kensington even more important to access via a broker. So if we look at the questions in this section, the first one was around attending physical industry events post-lockdown. So last year, 2/3 of brokers said that they would be still attending physical events, with a third that were unsure whether they would or not. I don't think anyone thought lockdown would last as long as it has, but a year on, and when we've asked the question again, we see a lot more positive responses, almost 80% of brokers wanting to attend physical events going forward, which is great for us because we love that personal interaction. We then wanted to understand a bit more about how a broker would like to interact with their BDM. So again, last year, brokers were 50-50 on preference between physical and virtual interaction. Now that it is slightly changed in that over half of those brokers would like to actually see a blend of physical and virtual. Some were just physical, some were just virtual, but the majority wanted to have a blend. So the next question we asked was, following lockdown, are you likely to spend more time working from home? So again, probably not quite so surprisingly, last year only 12% of brokers were open to spending more time at home. Fast forward a year, nearly 5 times as many brokers are now more likely to spend time working from home. Maybe something to do with children going back to school and not having to do homeschooling as well, who knows. We then wanted to understand about the amount of business that brokers have written in 2020. Had it increased or decreased? To be honest, it was quite fair across the board. Some saw an increase, some saw a decrease, and again, 35% saw about the same amount of business. So question 7, what is currently most important when choosing a lender? So this was quite an interesting one. So if you look back 2+ years ago, price was always top of the agenda for a lot of brokers when choosing a lender. Now, product and lending criteria came up top, with price following, and then service quite soon after that. We also want to understand, is that just now, or will that change in the next 6 to 12 months? And again, the results were very, very similar. So now we'll move on to the third session, which is all around the market. So at the end of Q4 2020, the outstanding value of all residential mortgage loans was 154 billion, 2.9% higher than a year earlier. The total value of the UK's offered mortgages came out at 24.2% higher than a year earlier than that, at 87.7 billion. And that's the highest level since 2007. So that's really, really showing the strength in the current UK market. So the first question we asked in this section was all around stamp duty. Now, we asked this question prior to the extension being granted because we really wanted to understand if brokers were concerned about the effect it would have on their business. 34% answered yes, 66% answered no, which is very positive. And I'd imagine that 66% would increase even more so now that we've had the extension. We then asked how optimistic brokers were feeling about the market in 2021. This time last year, our research found out there was lots of uncertainty. But looking at now, over 3/4 of brokers are feeling either a little or very optimistic, which is brilliant. We'll come back to a lot of these questions in the panel debate session as well, so we'll delve a bit deeper into these parts. Question 11 was which parts of the market do the brokers feel are most underserved? So interestingly, self-employed customers were voted the most underserved at 65%, obviously very topical at the moment with furlough, self-employment schemes, etc. So not particularly surprising, but very high. This was followed by older borrowers at 30%. And then if you look at the most overserved areas, it was equally between landlords and new build that brokers felt were most overserved. Lastly, we wanted to really understand, with all these changes in the market, we expect to see customers requiring a specialist mortgage broker more than ever. So we wanted to understand how a broker would describe a specialist mortgage provider to their clients. Now, commonly before COVID, there was niche, bespoke, complex, unique. They were very common words that were used, but now we're starting to see more comments like adaptable, flexible, forward thinking, future. I think there's innovative on there, and accommodating, which is brilliant for us to see. I think the value of a specialist lender is a lot more than it probably was before the pandemic, and that's probably one of the first questions I'll be asking on the panel debate after this session. So I just need to say thank you. If you have any questions or want to get in touch with us, then please do. And yeah, we will see you on the next sessions on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much.